What's up and what's happening, TPE fam? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our goal is to continue to help leaders pivot into their next. We have a very special guest on today's show. His name is Nathanial Brown. Nathanial Brown is a part of Chick-fil-A's Talent Development Program, and he shares his story on his journey and how he got to the place to where he got into the program. We look forward to everything that he shares in this show, and we hope that something is said that sparks some growth for you in your journey. Let's enjoy the episode. What's up and what's happening, TPE family? We're back with another episode of the Pivot Experience podcast, where our goal and aim is to help leaders pivot into their next. As you guys know, we like to bring on guests that have powerful stories and great leadership journeys, and hopefully we can gain something that'll help us get a little bit better each and every day. And on this today's show, I've got Nathanial Brown. This individual is somebody who I ran across on LinkedIn. I just loved all the content that he was producing. I think he was somebody who I felt could add value to our journeys, and selfishly maybe add value to myself a little bit, just as I continue to try to improve as a leader. He has a great content series. He doesn't call it a podcast necessarily. I think it's great content, whatever you want to call it, called Lead Your Ship, and we'll jump into more detail about that. But Michael, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on here.
Oh, for sure, of course, man. And thank you so much for taking time out your day. I know, like, you don't know me. I just jumped in your inbox one day and was like, "Hey, man, you want to do a podcast?" And thankfully, you said yes, and you were willing to do so. So for myself and for the audience, who is Michael Nathanial Brown?
That's a fully loaded question. Normally, you would probably get like what I do, the former me. But now I'm a person that is always looking to develop myself so that I can be of great use in developing others. So always seeking that next growth step that I can take for myself and still learning more about who I am because I had one construction of who I thought I was, and now I'm getting the opportunity to really like dig deep with the point that I am in my life right now. So it's a work in progress, and I'm learning every day. So who I am is just someone that's continuously looking to be better than who I was yesterday.
Awesome, man. And I think all of us as leaders, and one of the bigger calls is to continue to try to be better than we were yesterday. So yeah, I love that you kind of threw that in here. And so you are a part of Chick-fil-A's Talent Development Program. As we spoke off mic, there's this program has had seen several iterations. What influenced you to be a part of this program?
Really, the big piece was the development piece. I came into 2024, exiting 2023. Like, what is, when you think about like how you're gonna kind of do the next year, a lot of people say, "Oh, what's my word for the year?" Right? I've never done that before. I've sometimes taken other words, like whether you was at church or just what you thought might be your word, and I actually like sat with that thought for a second, like, hey, like what could be my word? So I prayed about it and asked God, and I'm like, oh, he about to give me like this gigantic word, like win or something like like something that's like oh, we about to really do something big, and it was develop, and I was like, huh, interesting. But then I sat with it and I was like, well, wait a minute, like development is big, it's major, it's what we should constantly be seeking and something that we should always be looking forward to. So I was like, what a great way to like kind of like have that theme for 2024 for me. And it's really, I mean, from January 1st all the way to this moment right now, being on the podcast with you, it's really showing like development definitely was intended for this year for me.
Awesome. So I guess I want to back up a little bit. How did you first get a job at Chick-fil-A? I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have to at least have worked at Chick-fil-A to be a part of the talent development program. Is that a prerequisite or is recommended?
So It's definitely recommended. There is another route that you could take, which is called external. So for me, my Chick-fil-A story started in 2005. So my aunt used to work at the support center, and she reached out to a local operator in the Atlanta area and got the opportunity set up for me to come in for an interview. And then I got the job. So I started working at this Chick-fil-A location in March of 2005. So I did that throughout all of high school and then a little portion of college when I would come back because I was in Louisiana going to college, Graham State University. Um, and then I would come back and forth, but then I moved off campus and I didn't have any transportation. So I was like, well, this is not going to work out. So I just kind of like left Chick-fil-A altogether. And then like my journey kind of like starts to go on this as we all probably experience at some point in our leadership journey, on a roller coaster. So I ended up working for a Burger King at one point, working for a gas station at Walmart. And then once I got through those like college jobs, uh, then I started transitioning into what I didn't know was going to end up becoming a career for me. I started working for Walt Disney World as an intern, and I did that for about a year, and then got offered a full time position, and I stayed with them for 3 years total. And then I didn't know if I was going to continue on the road and in that pursuit to continue working for Disney, albeit an amazing company to work for. So I started seeking outside, and then I started like weighing, like, hey, what companies have the same level of care for their employees, for their guests? And then Marriott immediately popped up into my head. So I saw a posting for an assistant management position. Now, all this was done in the restaurant as far as food and beverage. So then I got the job to work at literally a Marriott right across the street from Disney. So I'm still in Orlando at this point in time, and spent 2.5 years doing that. And then I went and got an opportunity in events. So I became an event coordinator at the same hotel. Just want to see if my talents in leadership and everything that I'm learning and growing in was transferable into another area of hospitality. Come to find out, it was, albeit there was a lot of help from my peers and a lot of training that really helped me grow in that area. And I was able to execute everything well in that role. And then the pandemic hit. And once that happened, I kind of had to reevaluate, which, of course, I know that a lot of us had to reevaluate things. And then it came a point where I needed to move back to Atlanta. So I did that in 2021. Didn't know what was next for me. Sat back and spent some time praying and seeking God on what was next. And then I heard Chick-fil-A, and I was like, wait a minute. Uh, I thought I was kind of done with food and beverage. And then I thought about some more. I'm like, you know what? What's like, what's the worst that could happen? Which I knew if God told me to do it, it was all going to be, for my good. So I started seeking out what would leadership in Chick-fil-A look like. So I ended up finding my second operator, and he had his own leadership development program within his restaurant, and applied for the position, got the role, and started back working for Chick-fil-A in 2022. So altogether, prior to joining the talent development program, I was with Chick-fil-A for about 6.5 years with that little gap in between. So
No, so okay, that a lot to unpack there. So because I was stuck on Disney, then you just kind of kept going. I was really ready I was really ready to kind of just let's talk about the time at Disney. I mean, there's not many
yeah.
people that you run into that have had the opportunity to work for the company. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand, I think you understand this, working for
Hmm.
Chick-fil-A and working for these great brands that are focused on hospitality, customer facing, it doesn't, if you didn't know anything about business or organizational, like, I guess, practices, and
Hmm.
fundamentals, you would think it's just an experience.
Right.
There's a method in being able to be a brand like that people want to come to each and every time, and want to spend their money, particularly with Disney. Like at Chick-fil-A, our ticket is a little cheaper than Disney's, and so just thinking about like what did you see and observe, at Disney that either parallels what you do or what we do here at Chick-fil-A, or that's
Hmm.
different? Because this is just really for me, audience. I'm being selfish here. I just want to know,
Yeah.
like, because transparently, we have a girl who just got an internship from our restaurant here in town, and so she just left like 3 weeks ago to go
Yeah.
explore that. And I think she's doing maybe nothing on the hospitality side. It's more
Hmm.
on I guess the technical piece of what they do. But I'm just curious, like, what was work life at Disney?
So to open that up some more, I was in their management internship program. So there's a college program and then the management internship. Management internship is for those individuals that are about to graduate or that have graduated within like 6 months at the time that when I did it. And um, work life was really it. I was like, oh, this is like a career, and my leadership structure as far as for a corporation really started to have its foundation built within that first 6 months of working there. It wasn't just like, a summer job, something just to, it wasn't just a check at this point. It was really like a livelihood, and it was really about pouring into the culture that I'm like currently like working in and living in. Because if you think about it, you spend majority of your time, depending on the role that you have, you spend majority of your time at work than you do at home, right? So knowing that Disney loves to create experiences not only their for their cast members and of course, and then also for their guests, it was learning how I can one be a part of that, and then how do I kind of infuse like me into creating that for the individuals I work alongside with, those individuals that I'm serving, because at that point I was a manager, and then for the guests that I'm serving that's coming in and out the doors.
Okay, yeah, no, the model sounds very similar to what we do here at Chick-fil-A for sure. That's just interesting. And then I would assume that your time at Marriott pretty much the same flow.
Yeah, yeah, and that was when I was doing it at the time. I didn't see the trend that I was heading on, and in hindsight, I can look back and say that that's what really attracted me to working, in those for those great companies, because of what they not only what they stood for, but the impact that they were having, and how they were always trying to create new ways to be who they've always been the entire time.
Excellent. Okay, so shift gears back to the talent development program. What has been the best part so far? So, how long have you been in the talent development program? First of all,
So I've been in the program since January of this year.
okay. So, what has been the best part of the program so far?
The best part for me when it comes to the talent development program is the development on both the professional and personal side. I mean, just like I know, when you're in the restaurant, it is go, go, go. And I mean, that's with Chick-fil-A, with Disney, with Marriott. It is, you literally, the tread on your shoes is probably falling off by how much, you're going. And now I'm in a position where all of that, it hasn't come to a screeching halt, but it's not the same pace. And now there is space to really, grow and develop and pour into myself. Not saying that I didn't have that before. However, in the restaurant, my main focus was the team and making sure the team was set up for success, and how we're growing the business and the vision that our operator has. And now in this space, it's like, okay, I am leading myself. So how do I pour into myself so that what I am tasked with, I am able to show up well and to deliver my best when it comes to that.
Okay, so can you give us now? I apologize, I didn't send you this, but maybe this question is gonna be easy to answer. But like, what does your roles and responsibilities look like in this program? Like, I have an idea of what LDP is, and I know LDP has evolved itself, right? The
Mhm.
leadership development program. But what does your role look like in the context of what you provide for the support center? And then, do you guys provide anything on the operator level?
So we're serving in 12 different training programs where we are the restaurant experts serving operators, restaurant leaders, and staff members.
Okay, so if one of those what is it, what do they call it, the consultations, you guys would be the people who facilitate those, like for restaurant specific categories, or
Oh no, that's a separate department that handles that. For an example, Elevate is a program where FTS ones are becoming FTS twos, which you're familiar with that term, and that's a program that we participate in at different junctures of it because it is the program doesn't need us in it the entire time, but the parts that we come into play with them is when they're here and then virtually as well.
okay, all right. So you're going through the talent development program. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
That is a good question. So in the next 5 years, now this plan is being filtered through whatever God has planned. So I will go ahead and preface that right there. So staff role would be a part of the plan here at the support center or even beyond because to be a part of this organization could open up doors in a multitude of ways both here and then beyond Chick-fil-A. So I'm like literally open hand when it comes to that. I do want to continue growing my leadership development coaching business when it comes to that, and then I also want to continue. I don't know if many people know this about me. Probably not because of only what I share on LinkedIn, um, but I would love to continue to do songwriting and recording music as well and releasing it.
Okay, all right. No, that's cool. So the long term play for you is to either a find a long term career at the support center,
Mhm.
or b whatever doors that open from as a result of your work done at the support center to be able to do your thing. So now you mentioned that you have leadership development business. Would you care to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so really, it's all been built on a format or a kind of like a how will we categorize it? We'll categorize it as kind of like a roadmap of how to simplify leadership to its core, to its foundation, so that it can be helpful no matter what stage of leadership you're in, whether it's from entry level to executive level. And I call it the simple leadership plan. And it really is showing you, hey, this is how you can do leadership and do it well. And it starts with the vision, right? Every leader needs a vision when they're starting off their leadership journey. And then from there, they have decisions to make. And those decisions are going to really kind of set that trail for them of how they're going to bring that vision to life. And then it's going to start impacting different areas. So it's going to impact that decision is going to be impacted by their awareness, their communication, their development as well. And then it's also going to be impacted by their service. So those four areas. And that's where I come in and just help others understand that so that this way it leadership does become complex as you continue to grow and as you continue to explore all that it has to offer. But that plan helps you to kind of like recenter and kind of like stay grounded as you start to experience those complexities in leadership.
Okay, so what led you down the path of wanting to do this?
Honestly, this was not in any of my plans. Like all the way up until I want to say 2022 is when God really like kind of laid it on my heart to like to start developing leaders. And I honestly was a little, I wasn't saying I was shocked. I always thought that I've been successful in leadership. And then come to find out as I started this journey of learning what that looks like, the one of the marks of a great leader is to develop other leaders. So I wanted to know, like, hey, what does it look like to do leadership development? So going back into the restaurant is one of the things that really helped. One, I went back into a place where I've had experience, but then I went back and humbled myself and started and requested to start from a team member position, even though I was brought in as a leader. And I wanted to learn the team from that aspect and to learn the business as well. And then once that started to gain traction, they accelerated me into an operations manager position. And then from there, I knew that it was a great opportunity and a great time to start analyzing and seeing, like, hey, who has the potential to be a great leader, and how can I show them that potential, and let's start like bringing it out of them in the ways that they can, that they can really sustain great leadership. And it started working out really well. Then I was like, okay, I'm starting to do some coaching here, but I really need to understand, like, all right, what is coaching? So then, thanks to my operator, he provided us opportunity for free education. So I went to Grand Canyon University online to get a certification in life coaching so that I can grasp a better understanding of what it looks like to coach others to be their best, so that I wasn't just like grasping for straws.
Okay, and you said something that kind of resonated with me, and I'm gonna ask you another question that was not on our original stack here. But you said a real hallmark of a leader is your ability to develop other people. Who in your life has been that leader that poured into you, and what about them makes you think that they were a great leader?
Ooh, so I have multiple people. Uh, this one individual really sticks out. So this was my third resort that I was working at Disney, and before I got there, our food and beverage director, he came to me, and because of the success that we were having in the restaurant that I was currently working in, he said, "Hey, Michael, I want to move you to this restaurant, and I know that you'll help improve our nighttime team, as far as the PM shift, and because of what you have done with our PM shift in this restaurant that you're currently in." So from there, I was like, okay, cool. So I, went in there and started, just really going at it. And I asked if I could like experience what it's like to work in the morning shift, right? And before she allowed me to transition to work in the morning, she had me come train in the morning, and it was after a night that I closed. So she she said, "Hey, this is what I need you to do as far as to open a restaurant. Go ahead and get it done." So I went out, got the things done. Restaurant was open. She said, "Hey, Michael, I want to walk with you real quick," and she took me through the entire restaurant and showed me everything that I missed. And she said, "Now, do you think like a guest could see these things?" And I said, "Well, possibly. I don't really know if a guest this early is looking at these things." And she brought up attention to detail, and how important it is that even the smallest things have an impact on the overall experience for anyone, whether it's the cast members at that time, and how they're in the environment that they're serving in, from the environment that the guests are coming into to spend their hard-earned money and to enjoy and have a great experience. And that stuck with me, and my attention to detail really grew from that moment.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. A lot of times, particularly when you're in that position, you're probably not wanting to give excuses, but, wanting to say, man, I just closed last night, but thankfully she had the wherewithal to tell you what you needed to hear in that season. And a lot of times, us as leaders, we missed opportunities to say powerful things, and we don't realize they'll stick with us. So that's awesome
Mm.
that she kind of poured that into you. Now I want to talk about your content series, Lead Your Ship. So I mean, the name sounds pretty straightforward to me, but for those of you who may have a question, like how did you come up with the name? What's the reasoning behind it? What is your end goal with this content series?
Okay, so we'll start with the name. So leadership. Honestly, I was working with a friend of mine, and we at this point I just started going for that certification in life coaching, and I went to a school called the Joseph Business School where I got certification in entrepreneurship in the marketplace, and would really learn what it meant to build a business. And really, I was like, okay, well, the need that I'm meeting is the fact that there are leaders that need development. However, we need to take them back to the beginning of leadership, like to its foundation, like I stated earlier. And this is how I want to do it with the entire like format that I built out. So the first intention was, hey, we're going to start with the online course. So I'm like, yo, it takes quite a bit of all of you and then more of you to build an online course. And I was just really, I was really like, being very intentional, very focused on it. And then I paused and I was like, wait a minute, I don't have a target audience. So I'm about to build this course and I'm about to release it to the public. And then I'm going to get upset if nothing happens from it. And it could result in me quitting because I didn't do my due diligence in not only recognizing my audience, but actually like building up the audience. So one day I logged into my LinkedIn, and I have not logged into my LinkedIn because I have zero social media as it stands. And some people are like, oh, LinkedIn social media. No, it's not. It is completely different. So logged in, I still had the eight uh, followers and connections that I had from 2010, and I was like, okay, so LinkedIn, you actually, you people work for this. Okay, cool. So I then started thinking, I'm like, man, after I started like really spending some time on LinkedIn, I'm like, there's a lot of leaders on here. I mean, from CEOs to entrepreneurs to managers, directors, and the list goes on and on. And I'm like, wait a minute. I was like, the target audience is right here. I was like, this is where they're at. So I said, okay, well, let's go for it. So I started creating content, and I didn't really have a name for it before I started releasing it. And me and this friend sat down, and I was like, man, I don't know what to call this. I'm like, I know I want it to be a tip. I want it to be something that they can like a quick, easy read. And I was like, maybe I can play with the word leadership. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I play with it, to where it still connects to the intention behind the content that's being delivered. And then that's where it like hit me. I was like, oh, I can like break it up and like lead your ship, where you are you are just as accountable for leading yourself as you are for leading others when you step into the role of a leader. So it started off with, graphics and things of that nature, and a tip here and things of that nature. And then my friend, she was seeing the content, and she was like, "Michael, this is really good," because I was releasing it every day at one point, and she was like, "But you overdoing it," and she's like, "You're not even giving them time to really digest it." And come to find out, you LinkedIn is so different. Like on the other platforms, I can't see what someone posted 3 weeks ago unless I go onto their page, and like I won't see it on my timeline. I see the last 30 seconds. Maybe I'll see the last day, maybe a couple days, but not 3 weeks ago. Like unless it's a paid promotion or something like that. She was like, "Have you ever thought about doing a video?" She was like, you do well on camera, you know how to speak, you'll be delivering the same content." And then I was like, okay. She was like, make it short, condense it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I got with another friend of mine. and we film all of this. And I don't know if anyone will ever believe this, but everything that I post, it has been filmed in front of a a nice background in my friend's garage. Like, and we get it done just like that. And I want to keep it like at max. I don't ever want it to go over 90 seconds. I want to keep the attention of the audience. And it started off real slow, and I wasn't really looking at any metrics or anything of that nature. And I started releasing it in November of last year, and then I started my new role, and then I wouldn't say out of nowhere, people just started saying, "Hey, I love, what you post on LinkedIn." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't know you watched it," and then it started happening very frequently, and then people started saying, "Hey, your podcast is really good," and I'm like, "Wait a minute, there's not even a mic on camera," and this I'm like, I don't know. So that's really how it is transformed. But honestly, for me, the goal is, and this is like something that I'll continue to stand on. As long as the content helps at least one person, I've done my job.
That's it, man. And I just want to encourage you to keep going. I know in the content space, and I guess it's good to hear that you don't have any social, so you're not subdued by views and likes and all those things. But you got to know, like, when I post stuff and people may not interact with it, but when I see people in real life or have a chance to have a meeting, they bring it up. So people are watching what you're doing. I think your content is quality. I think you do a good job of being consistent in the matter in which you deliver it. The quick bite, the quick hit is something that people that resonates with people and people will stick around for. So I just want to give you kudos for that and to tell you to keep going for whatever that's worth. I mean, again, to establish the fact that we're strangers, but no, you keep doing your thing, man. And I just want to say I appreciate you coming on the platform. You spending some time here with us. Hopefully, everyone who's listening to this out there has gotten a chance to, number one, learn a little bit more about you, Michael Nathaniel Brown. Also have an idea of what the talent development program is. Honestly, I was a little green to it in terms of just the nuts and bolts of it, and you shed some light on that as well. And just talking about your journey as a leader, this was really profitable for me, just to learn that it was more than just Chick-fil-A, and to know that you started Chick-fil-A in '05. My Chick-fil-A journey started in '02, and I never left, but just knowing that you have some understanding of what that looked like back in those days, because Chick-fil-A looked really different in terms of how the sandwich is the same, but how we go about
Yeah.
doing business is a little different. So it's cool to know that you have some knowledge there for sure. And I just want to say thank you again. Appreciate you and your time, TPE family. Hopefully, you can share this podcast, this episode with somebody who is looking to continue to grow and to develop it. And Michael, can you tell us? I know you're only on LinkedIn currently, but how do we reach you? I mean, you just search Michael Nathaniel Brown, and then
Yeah,
yeah.
it's exactly that. You can definitely search me on LinkedIn, Michael Nathaniel Brown. You can spell Nathaniel Nathanial. So once again, Nathanial, because I know some people spell it EL.
Yeah.
Yes, you type that in, and then you'll see everything that I have done. We are currently on our 40. Well, this week will be our 48th lead your ship tip. So it's been going for a minute. I can't believe it's about to be almost 50 weeks of doing this, or 50 times that we've done it, however you want to frame it. And looking forward to growing. There are some some uh, some different some changes coming up on the rise to go beyond LinkedIn that we are currently in the works of doing. So please stay tuned.
Awesome, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on the platform. TPE family, you know what to do. Like, share, subscribe to this content. We'll be delivering interviews like this and more. So until next time, TPE family, peace.
Tap into the Pivot Experience where we help young, hungry entrepreneurs move on to the next step.